The death toll in the Thane building collapse has risen to 41. This number includes 11 children who were crushed to death in Mumbai on the outskirts of Mumbai after the under-construction building collapsed on Thursday evening. 50 people have been rescued, but some are still believed to be trapped in the debris. The Chief Minister visited the site earlier today and spoke to the rescue teams involved in relief work. The 7-story building collapsed into a mangled heap of steel and concrete more than 20 feet high that rescuers and local residents struggled to cut through. The building had been constructed illegally in just 1.5 months and substandard material was used. Visuals there are coming from the hospital where many of the rescued people were taken. Apparently over 20 families were living in the building that was under construction. Homes and offices had been set up even though it had no occupation certificate. An 8th floor was under construction. Two builders, Jamil Qureshi and Salim Sheikh, have gone underground. The police has filed a case against them of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. But clearly the local administration that allowed this building to come up are as much to blame for this tragedy. NDTV's Saurabh Gupta even spoke to a local there who had written a letter in February to the Thane municipality complaining about the illegal building, a letter that the body obviously chose to ignore.
फरवरी को मैं फाइल किया फर्स्ट with photos with area's name, but Mr. Rajiv with no action was taken. Then I will start on in 7 मार्च को दिया एरिया का पूरे वार्ड में, ये वार्ड में 64 बी है पूरे शिलफटा वार्ड में, उसके बारे में फोटो भेज 70 फोटो भेजा और छोटी मोटी कार्रवाई की, लेकिन पूरा लीगल जबरदस्त कौन सा भी कार्रवाई नहीं किया. बाद में 18 मार्च को मैं फाइल किया, इसमें ये बिल्डिंग का भी फोटो था और पूरे एरिया पूरे वार्ड की बिल्डिंग की भी फोटो दिए. कार्रवाई छात्र मुझे करते थे, इसके लिए जवाबदार व्यक्ति है प्रशासन, महापालिका आयुक्त, इधर के नगर सेवक और इधर के बिल्डर लॉबी.
An NCP leader has said the priority right now is to rescue those who've been injured, who may be trapped, but that the government has to take action as to how this could have happened.
हादसा तो बहुत गंभीर है, नो डाउट अबाउट इट, लेकिन ऐसे भविष्य काल में अगर इन हादसों से बचना है तो मेरे ख्याल से प्रशासन को कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई इसके आगे करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि मुमरा और इस एरिया में इतने सारे अनऑथराइज्ड बिल्डिंग्स हो गए हैं कि अगर हर एक धोखा अगर धोखे से टल रहे हैं तो इसके ऊपर बहुत गंभीरता से कार्रवाई करनी पड़ेगी.
Well, let's go across to Saurabh, who's actually at that site of the building collapse. Saurabh, what is the situation now? We can see work is still underway behind you. Is it still feared that people could be trapped?
Well, yes, Gargi, there are still fears that people are trapped inside. But also, let me just update you now. The figure of the number of people who have died has gone up to 32. One body was just pulled out a short while back. And so now the figure stands at 32. So the number of people who have died in this tragedy is now 42. I beg your pardon. Also, you can see rescue operations are still on. The height of the debris itself is almost more than 20 feet. And what officials are working at is trying to get as many people out as they can alive. But with time passing, they say the chances of that get more and more dim. But also, one must point out here that this building, that it was illegal, that it came up in just 6 weeks. And all of that, the construction quality was poor, that norms were being flouted. All of that was pointed out by a whistleblower who spoke to NDTV earlier this day in the morning and said that he had forwarded that complaint to municipal authorities. That was ignored, according to him, and nothing was done to demolish the building. Like Mr. Awad also pointed out, who is the MLA in Thane, Mr. Jitendra Awad, he also said that there is a nexus between builders and local officials, and that is why probably nothing was done. Nothing was done, so people were living in the building which had no occupancy certificate, and when the building came crashing down, most of them didn't even have a chance to survive. Many of them children, actually 11 children have died, but also some children were pulled out in the afternoon. One child actually was pulled out alive. But clearly the focus now is who allowed this tragedy to happen. Is it just the builder who used poor construction material and flouted norms? Or are civic officials equally to blame because they looked the other way while these norms were flouted, even when they had a complaint with photographs and every kind of detail possible, which we have showed our viewers earlier in the day?
Right, rescue operations underway, but lots of questions as to how this tragedy took place. Also, as you've been saying, families actually living there. We're told around 28 families were even living in this building, and the building that's next to the structure that fell down, the building next to it is also by the same builder.
That's right, Gagi. If I can ask my camera person to show you the building beside. That building has now been evacuated. Of course, after this incident, no one is living there. And this is how high this building was. Of course, now the focus is on the building beside it, which is which used to be as high as that building, but has now come down to the level of the first floor. Rescue work is still on. People who are on the lower floors, who have gone below in the debris and have sunk into the ground, the focus is on them. Sniffer dogs were used in the morning by the National Disaster Relief Force. The National Disaster Relief Force chief told NDTV a short while back that they will not give up till they are convinced absolutely that there is not a single soul inside. And till the time they believe that there is someone trapped inside, they will continue to search for people. But, you know, one must keep in mind that this is, it's an extremely hot day here. Time has passed, a lot of time has passed, and as more and more time passes, it is going to get more and more difficult for them to rescue people from inside the debris.
All right, Saurav, thanks so much for joining us there. We'll, of course, return to you for more updates. NDTV also spoke to former IPS officer YP Singh, who was a petitioner in the Adarsh case about this tragedy.
The illegality in this particular case are absolutely mind-boggling. An entire building comes out without any permissions. In fact, joining us now is former IPS officer and advocate Mr. YP Singh, who also has fought the Adarsh case, another illegal building. So an entire building illegal, 40 persons have lost their lives, and the number is still not certain. They are counting, the dead bodies are still counting. How can something like this at all ever happen?
I think this is essentially a case of criminal conspiracy, where the unscrupulous builder has a tie-up with the local municipal authorities and also the local police station, who have got powers under the Regional Town Planning Act, and they close their eyes, and these people race with time so as to erect the building, and once the building is erected, it is considered to be a fait accompli, and to demolish that is well nigh impossible. Perhaps with that aim in mind, this criminal conspiracy took place.
In fact, we have seen in Maharashtra this happen at several places, be it Ulhasnagar, be it Pune. Illegal structures, the courts say go and demolish them, but the government then goes ahead and regularizes them. So the connivance you're talking about, not only the mafia, builder mafia and officials, but also there is some amount of political influence happening here. Otherwise it can't really happen.
Most of the builders develop a sense of impunity, knowing very well if the illegal construction comes up, there would be no action. If the action is forthcoming, there would be political influence. And if there is a mass action happening, in that case, government comes out with a notification stating as to how those buildings should be regularized. And that is why there have been thousands of buildings all around, and not a single illegal building has been demolished.
In fact, these areas, Mumbai, Thane, Ulhasnagar, largely most buildings are illegal, and perhaps Mumbai too?
If we start from Ulhasnagar to Thane, there will be lots of buildings, thousands and thousands of them, which have simply come up without any permission altogether. And since they have to be constructed very speedily to avert any statutory order stopping the work, it is done without taking the structural precautions. And to some extent, in Mumbai also this is happening. But unfortunately, in Mumbai what happens? The illegal permission is given by the municipal authorities, and that's why an essentially illegal building is christened as legal.
Accountability, that's the key question now. Normally civic officials, get away scot-free. What would you expect and demand from this particular case?
I think the time has come, as there have been several court rulings, especially in the Sahara case, where the municipal officer has to be made accountable along with the builder. He is a part of the criminal conspiracy, and unless until the local police guys and the local municipal guys are put behind bars for being a part of the criminal conspiracy, not much is going to change, because the stakes are very high.
There you have YP Singh saying very categorically that do a proper investigation, have enough evidence which will stand in a court of law, and ensure that all these persons who are involved in this criminal conspiracy, as he points out, are really booked and they are tried.